As of the making of the script, Sony released a recent blog post that states that they're going to make their new game Concord offline. Everyone knows that the game was a failure in every aspect. Nobody wants to play that game. Gamers don't want this type of game due to the oversaturated market along with how generic it looks. At least with earlier releases, such as with Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League, at least people want to buy that because it had DC Comics characters and it was made by the same people who made the Batman Arkham Knight games. But Concord has no hype because of how boring it looks and was dead on arrival. The consequences of such failure is going to result in already common layoffs and the possibility of the shutdown of Fireworks Studios, the people who made the game. These people who worked on a game in which they thought would be successful has now turned it into a nightmare. They don't deserve that. Nobody should want these people to suffer because of a lackluster game. But the issue comes from the idea of short-term gains, and they think that Concord would be that game. The game itself was in development for over 8 years and cost PlayStation millions, but because the market for games is constantly changing, almost a decade of development will result in nothing if you can't push the boundaries. Concord isn't supposed to push it, from what anyone thinks. People will say that it's just a bland and uninspired hero shooter, and that's true, but it's also the mindset that going for trendy stuff will result in people getting the game, but that's not the case. The recent success of Black Myth Wukong is going to trigger Sony in making similar games to Dark Souls, and by the end of the 2030s, nobody would want that because there are already a saturated market of Dark Souls clones by that point. Some people would also want Sony to end up like Nintendo and constantly making games that don't cost much to make and will likely be a hit with fans. I agree that it does help build a first-party lineup for a console, however it doesn't seem likely, plus the culture for console gaming has changed. Many would rather own a PC, and Sony and Microsoft knows this and are treating the computers as a platform than a competitor. They thought they could help with sales, but that doesn't seem to be the case. I do expect at some point a culture shift in the future, but for now, many are going to continue to buy indie games and stop supporting Sony because of this game and only buy their Astrobot game because they want more innovative games and more fun stuff to play, not a trend chaser that is intended to be for the New York Stock Exchange. Best of luck, Sony.